Hey y'all, welcome back to Closet Talk with J Kitty. Today's episode is really special to me because I've seen domestic violence firsthand. It's hard to see someone you love go through it, but sometimes they're too afraid to tell. Sometimes when you see it, it's too late, but it's never okay. Today we're discussing domestic violence in the LGBT community. I'm going to go ahead and put a trigger warning right here, so if you've been a victim of sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental, emotional, any kind of abuse, and hearing stories and statistics and just facts about the abuse triggers you or brings back memories or puts you in a situation all over again, this is not the video for you. I don't want to be the one to put that on someone. This is the trigger warning. I have stories of abuse, abuser stories, all of the above. So if that's something that you're not ready to hear, this is not for you. And it's okay to not be ready. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm saying, like, this video not for you because you're not ready to hear it and your feelings going to be hurt. Like, nothing like that. Like, I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, I don't want to mess up anybody mental who may be coming out of that, who may be, like, going forward. I don't want to be that thing to make you retract. I don't want to be, like, the drug to an addict who's been clean. Like, I don't want to be that. So, again, trigger warning. Okay, so first, I'm going to give a few statistics. People love to say domestic violence in LGBT relationships are invalid because we're the same sex, meaning we can just, quote unquote, fight back. And it's like, according to the Centers of Disease Control and Prevention, our community experienced similar or even higher rates of sexual violence than heterosexuals. Boom, let's fact check that. 44% of lesbians and 61% of bisexual women have experienced rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner. 26% of gay men and 37% of bisexual men have. 46% of bisexual women have been raped compared to 17% of heterosexual women. Okay, now transgenders. Transsexual people experience the highest risk, like off the rip, and we should just know that just by how hated they are, like how invalidated they are. 50% of transsexual people have reportedly been sexually assaulted in their lifetime. And that's only the ones who reported it. Like, we all know some people who go through sexual abuse don't even report it. Black transsexual women are the most targeted at both hands of strangers and partners. And that's because just how hated they are. Like, people hate transsexual people for some reason, and I will never understand it. Like, I will never understand how someone else's life in general can affect someone else's emotions so much when they have nothing. Like, you never met this person, you never seen this person, you will never see this person, but they have so much control over your emotions. Like, that's something I will never understand. Between 30 and 50% of transsexual people experience domestic violence at some point in their life, compared to the 28 to 33% of the general population. That's the general population, like the world. 28 to 33% compared to the 30 to 50% of transgender people. That's ridiculous. Like dead ass, the population of transgender people is like not even 1% of the general population. Like, dead ass. And it's more than half of those people experience domestic violence at some point in their life. And that was according to a study conducted by the Williams Institute at UCLA Law School. So these facts. All right, boom. Now we're going to get into some of the stories, like real life stories from victims and abusers, survivors, all that. This first story is kind of a reason why some people don't tell. Like, they don't tell. They don't try to get help. Like, the victims sometimes end up being blamed in the end, and it's messed up.
So, my abusive relationship started off pretty normal. Classic love story. We met in high school. We had classes together. We did together. But, senior year came to an end and I had to go off to college and she went off to the military. It kind of changed her a lot. I could honestly say that much. Everything was good. We were together for about 4 years before stuff, or 3 years before stuff started hitting the fan. And basically, once I married her and we moved to Florida, everything was good up until the moment when things, I guess, weren't. We started arguing about stuff because she was keeping secrets because she ended up being transgender, and things like me calling her girl and me not knowing what she was going through and me treating her maybe too feminine or me not showing her enough love or affection that caused her to cheat on me emotionally and physically. And when I finally told her that I wanted to leave, she really wasn't having that. She ended up trying to fight me and she put her hands on me in the middle of a gas station, and we lived in Florida and we were in Tampa, and some guys saw that and they ran over to the car and swung the door open because it was unlocked and almost grabbed her and gripped her out of her seat. I was in the back seat and lurched over to try and save her. After that, she was pretty embarrassed, so she took my wedding ring and tried to kick me out of the car when we were on a 3-hour drive on our way back home to Jacksonville, Florida. Later on, that fight was the first of many. After her sister finally left that weekend, she finally put her hands on me for like the first real time, and I couldn't even tell you what I really did. I really feel like now that I'm outside looking in, it began because I called her a girl and me not knowing that she was transgender. It just triggered a whole argument, and she would be the type to like say that she was mad about something, then bring up something that happened 3 months ago. And that was the first time that I like started getting my face dragged on shaggy carpet, and I had bruises all over my eyes and my hair was messed up. I don't know, I'm really just thinking back to what I put myself through because I could have left a lot sooner. And when I finally started telling her that I wanted to leave and I didn't want to be a part of that, that was one of my first times that my phone got shut off, disconnected. The caller that you're trying to call is no longer in service, or that started happening. And when I finally told her that I wanted to leave her, I started packing my stuff to move back to California. And I had my friends take rotations to come over so I would never have to be alone in the house with her. And she decided to argue with us, and I had locked me and my friend in the room. She banged on the door and I never let her in, and all of a sudden it gets really quiet and I just start hearing all my luggages like being thrown, all of my shit everywhere. I have pictures if you want pictures. And I tried to stop her. She started hitting me. And my friend saw that. My friend was an MMA fighter, so they started fighting, and she started attacking her very aggressively. My friend was down for the count, like out cold, and the whole time, my wife at the time was literally beating her, still yelling, "You want some more? This is what you want. This is what you want." And the whole time that was going on, I was on the phone with the cops, and when the cops showed up, guess who ended up in handcuffs? Me. Me. But by the grace of God, I just so happened to be on the phone with my parents when I got arrested. So when I was getting booked and I was able to make my first phone call, of course I called my mother, and my mother was sure to tell me that my father was already on the plane from California on his way to come bail me out of jail and to save me and get me out of the South and back to the West Coast. That's what happened. Bailed me out, got me out. Now I'm back out here in California. Unfortunately, I'm still married to this girl, this guy now, because I just haven't went through the processes to fully get it finalized because he's the one that kind of blew up the marriage. So I feel like with them being in the military, they could have at least just paid for it, but I'll get it figured out. But they still stalk me. I've changed my number 4 times. They always find a way to find my social media to see what I'm up to. They call and let me know that they know who I'm with, where I work, where I dance, all of that all the time. And yeah, that's my little short snippet of my domestic violence, abusive relationship, marriage. And yeah.
Y'all heard that? She still know where this girl be at, like at every point in time. And they not together. They not in the same place. You know what I'm saying? Abuse is ongoing. It doesn't stop until someone speaks out. You know, people often got to move away. Like, and that's not fair. Like, you're the victim and you got to move away. But sometimes that's how it is. Also, abuse isn't always sexual and physical. Like, the next story, this girl, she was mentally abused. Like, mentally abused to the max, dog, to where now she has insecurities and it's affecting her relationship now, and she just want to better that. Like, she want to get out of that relationship that happened so long ago, and she mentally can't.
Okay, so it all started around 2016. My ex, she sought me out. Her aunt lived like 5 doors from me and had told her about me. I was always with somebody, so I kind of always brushed her off. When I was finally single, my ex showed up at my door one day and asked for my phone number. I had nothing else to do, plus she was cute, so whatever. We texted a few days and she said she wanted to see me, and that was when I got my first red flag. I remember her telling me that she moved on quickly and I shouldn't wait too long. And I guess that made me feel like I was wrong for like not being into her, like I guess not pressed over her or whatever. So we went out to IHOP, and the whole time she was just telling me about like how her ex-wife cheated on her with men and she was hurt and how she just wanted a family and to be in love and all that mess, and how, you know, maybe if things went good between us it could be me and I felt all special. Ha ha ha. Eventually, of course, we had sex. After is when all the shit went down. I learned that she still lived with the ex-wife because she had some health problems. She had congenital heart failure, which led to seizures, and she couldn't live by herself. I didn't know much about it, so I just thought whatever she was telling me was true. But of course, I had some reservations about her living with her ex-wife, and she swore up and down that, you know, she didn't want to be with her, and it was just so much potential with me, somebody who she had barely known for like a couple of weeks. So I ended up telling her that I didn't really want to deal with her and like the ex-wife problems, because who really would? So eventually she called me up like a couple of days later and was like, oh, she left her and she wants to be with me. Come and get her. She packed her bags, and I felt fucking special. She left her ex-wife for me. Like, I must be the bomb.com if somebody left their whole, like, whatever. At the end of the day, all I knew is that she left to be with me and I should be happy, right? So she moved in, and then is when like she just wanted me to be different. I've always been a big girl, like my whole life. As long as I've known myself, I've been, for lack of a better word, fat. It's always bothered me, but not to the point where I felt the need to do anything other than, just make sure I don't get bigger. So she would start telling me that I needed to be healthier because she wanted kids. She wanted me to have her baby. And all I cared about was the fact she wanted me to have her baby. So I started, eating better. And she would tell me she was proud of me, blah, blah. Of course, comments on the side. But at the same time, she would always tell me, oh, you need to wear your jeans higher up on your stomach because no one wants to see your rolls. You need to wear like waist trainers and stuff to suck it in and just shit like that. She would also talk about my education. I had 2 associate's degrees, one for sociology and another for general studies. I actually got the second one by accident, but whatever. And I was in school to get my bachelor's, but she didn't want me to go to class because she always wanted me with her. So I really feel like if I wasn't with her, I would have finished my bachelor's. And it kind of sucks that I'm still not finished, but one day. Anyway, she told me I was a waste of potential because I wasn't working in my field. I was working at a print shop, but I loved printing. Like, even to this day, I'm fascinated if I like pick up a piece of paper that is like really nice quality. But yeah, I was a waste of potential, and I had degrees, and it was so simple. All I had to do was go online and find the information. I could be all of this. But mind you, the whole time she was like, she had a job, but it wasn't much of nothing. She also had a problem with my friends and my family. My mother has worked for the had worked for the government her whole life. She was well off to do. After my grandmother passed, she got the house, so that was paid off. She did not have many bills at all, so she would help me. The car I had was hers. I didn't pay for repairs. I paid my own rent, kinda. Like when my tax credit came in, I paid it, but other than that, my mother was paying it. I was on her cell phone plan. Like, pretty much my mother was financing most of my life in Baltimore, and she didn't like it. I was 25 plus, and I needed to learn how to take care of myself and stop depending on my mother. What kind of wife would I be if I needed someone to take care of me? So I stopped letting my mother help me, and I just struggled. I separated myself from my friends. She would tell me that different friends had hit on her, when now in reality they probably weren't, because she wasn't shit. None of my friends liked her, but I loved her, and I wanted to believe everything she told me. And then the extra cheating came. Like, eventually towards the end, she told me that she had continued to sleep with the ex-wife, but I don't know, I just loved her and didn't want to believe any of that. So she told me she wanted us to have a third girlfriend. I've never thought of being poly at all. But she wanted a third girlfriend, and I wanted her, so I would do anything for her. It was her choice, her everything. She found the girl. Her and the girl caught feelings for each other. Like, all 3 of us would hang out together, but it was mostly just me, the third wheel. I remember specifically one time I didn't want the girl there. Like, I was just so uncomfortable, and I don't believe in being uncomfortable in my own home. So I asked her to make the girl leave, and she was like, "No, I'm enjoying her time. Like, just relax yourself, and everything will be okay." And then she proceeded to leave me in my living room, crying while I heard them 2 fucking. I don't know. I found a whole bunch of text messages on her phone from her and the girl. The girl asked her to leave, and pretty much she said that she loved her, but in no way was she leaving me, only because I was first. Not because she loved me or anything like that, just because she was obligated to me because I was her girlfriend first. I guess all I cared about was the fact that she wasn't leaving me. And to me, that was, I don't know what the hell I was thinking, honestly. Every time I threatened to leave her, she would try to kill herself. But even now, I don't think she would have went through it if I wouldn't have stopped her. She would wait till late at night, which is typically when she has seizures, every single night. Even to this day, I've become a very light sleeper because I'm so used to having to listen out for somebody to maybe fall off the bed, bump their head in the midst of a seizure. It's greatly affected my current relationship. But anyway, so she would take pills while she's seizing, and I would have to pry the pills out of her mouth because while you're seizing, your jaws tend to lock. Fun times. She also told me that I was stressing her out with my emotions because I was just in general unhappy. She talked about my weight. She talked about my family. She kept sleeping with this girl I didn't want her to sleep with. Like, I would literally go to work and she would go over to the girl's house claiming that she couldn't be in a house by herself because what if she seized and died? Who would be there? She needed a babysitter, and I was dumb enough to believe her. I tried to kill myself because of her. I remember it was the weekend before 4th of July. I think 4th of July was like on a Wednesday, so it was like that Friday. She had a job. She had found a better job or whatever, working in kitty jail, as she liked to call it. She went to work. I called out of work. I took BC powder, dissolved it into some water. I had my favorite meal at the time, which was pizza and wings. I ate. I drank the water. I drank like a whole bottle of ZQL because in my mind, the ZQL would knock me out while the pills killed me. And I sent her a text message in the middle of her shift and told her goodbye. She came home, found me, took me to the hospital, blah, blah, blah. And when we got home and she saw everything, she laughed at me because I wasn't successful. And I was stupid for thinking that dissolving the BC powder would do anything. She never loved me for me. She told me that when she saw me, she saw who I could be, who she wanted me to be. It was never about me. The only way I got away from her was to move. I gave up my apartment, everything I had in Baltimore, and I moved back in with my mother in DC because she couldn't drive and she didn't know where my mother lived. It's been a hard road trying to recover from her, and it gave me a lot of trust issues, a lot of issues with my body, but yeah, I'm happier now. I have a girlfriend who loves me for me. I've gained weight, and even though I hate it, she loves every inch of my body. She doesn't lie, doesn't cheat, and I honestly feel like I've wasted the best of my love capability on someone who doesn't deserve it, who didn't deserve it. So now I feel like I'm just tearing away at my insecurities to love the person who loves me the way they deserve. It's hard. And people don't really talk about like lesbian abuse, but it's out there. It's real, it's strong, and it kills you. I literally almost died.
That story really made me sad. Like, people don't understand that their actions can mentally fuck somebody up. Like, dead ass have you looking at yourself like you're the problem when it's them. Like, it's fucking them. It's not you, girl. It's them. On that note, some people do take responsibility for their actions. My next story is from an abuser's point of view. I don't want to call her an abuser because she's trying to get help. And she acknowledges what she is doing is wrong. She takes full responsibility. Yeah, y'all gotta listen to this story for real.
What's up, Jazz? Respect, major respect on you talking about domestic violence in the gay community and the LGBT community on your podcast. A lot of people are not aware that there's a lot of domestic violence that's going on in the LGBT community, and it's so quiet. But, I'm just going to say that I am not a victim. I'm more of the abuser. And I wouldn't say that I am an abuser, but the way how my girl look at it, that I am the abuser. And all I could do is respect how she feel. Are we currently together? No. Do I think we're going to get back together? No. But do I love her? Yes. And it was to the point where I got help. And it's not because I want to help to save my relationship. No, I want to help in myself, because I should not allow myself to emotionally lose control. So the next day after the situation, I got help. And it been a month and some change. I did get back on my medicine for my ADHD. I suffer from ADHD. I suffer from anxiety. So I'm back on my medications for those too. And I definitely feel a major change where, I'm much more calmer. I'm much more rational thinker. I'm able to control my emotions, especially speaking with my therapist throughout the process of this incident that happened a month ago. But the whole incident, I'm going to speak on it. I'm not going to say her name because I respect her. I love her. And she's still my world. It was more of insecurities, more jealousies. I never beat on her. I never put my hands on her. I never smacked her. I never punched her. None of that. So it was more of me grabbing her. I guess hold her, she said she, touching her, not touching her inappropriate, but like touching her neck, but I wasn't choking her. My hand was just there, even if I was trying to get her attention, but that she did not like that. A video I had saw of her and her friend, I did not like. So I imitated, and of my girl biting, her friend's cheek, being affectionate, whatever. So her friend, I felt like her friend always was just disrespectful towards our relationship, and that angered me. That made me feel very insecure in my relationship. When I did tell my girl, like, yo, I feel disrespected, she's always told me, like, yo, you just overthinking it. Like, it's not even that deep. That's just my friend. But after a while, just one day, I just snapped because I felt like my girl wasn't listening to me. And my emotions, I just lost it. And I wasn't thinking about the repercussions. I wasn't thinking about how my girl would feel. So me grabbing her, having her hold up on the wall, yelling at her, imitating everything that I saw her friend did, but I'm being aggressive and I'm upset. And threatening my girl, saying, you never fucking listen. What I got to do, beat the shit out of you until you fucking listen. Her trying to, she's scared. Like, at that point, I wasn't worried about her being scared. I was more being selfish because I wanted her to see how I felt. But that's not in a relationship what you do. I should have never been selfish. I should have never made my girl feel like she has to be scared of me. She picking up bottles, wine bottles, trying to break this shit, to the point where I asked her, what you gonna do with it? What you gonna stab me? She was like, yeah, if I got to, whatever. But we're upset, and I'm not right. Like I said, both upset. I'm angry. I'm not rationally thinking. I was like, what, you gonna stab me? She was like, if I have to, then leave. Get the fuck out. I wouldn't leave. I should have left. And I told her, I said, if you stab me, I have all rights to shoot you. those words I should have never said to her. You know, I shouldn't even never say I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. What I gotta do to beat the shit out of you till you fucking listen. Like, those are the words. I should have never been so comfortable threatening her. You know, even if I'm out of angry, I should have never been comfortable with them words coming out my mouth. Even out of anger, those words should have never came out my mouth. Those two threats should have never came out my mouth. And that made her not trust me. That made her not feel comfortable around me. That made her, after the whole situation, I'm still upset, hit her up, hitting her up, you know, to the point now, I want to fight any and everybody because I'm still angry. And when I calmed down, I looked at the damage I'd done, tried to apologize, whatever. But later that day, I called my therapist. I called the therapy and I said, I need help. Because I saw the damage that I did to my girl and I knew it wasn't repairable. But only way to repair it is by repairing myself, to get the help, to get emotional help that I needed. And for her to sit there and say I'm an abuser by me never putting my hands on her and hitting her, but threatening her, grabbing her, imitating the video that I saw her biting the cheek of her friend, and I did it. I imitated that video, and I said, how would you feel if I did this to another woman and, doing what I saw in the video, biting her cheek and stuff? That's all abuse because I was angry. Did I bite her cheek hard? I don't know. I didn't bite her cheek hard. My knowledge, I didn't bite her cheek hard, but you can't control how the other person feel. I can't control if she punched me, I could say it don't hurt, but if I punch her, she could say it hurt. And that's just an example. You can't control how she felt when I did that, even though I was imitating out of jealousy and out of rage. And, I was so mad about the double standards. It don't matter if it's emotional abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse. It don't matter. Abuse is abuse. And she said I have abusive tendency. And I blew her up all month, not giving her space, sending her flowers and all that stuff and gifts, trying to apologize and all that. But you have to come to realize in order to better yourself, you have to go get help. And I knew myself. Nobody else had to tell me. I knew myself that I needed help. I went by myself that day, called my therapist, say, I need help. Twice a week, I go to therapy. I'm back on my ADHD medicine. I'm more calm. I'm more, rational thinking. Been in so many situations that I was just in recently where the old me would have got pissed the hell off. But I'm so calm because I'm getting the help that I need and I'm learning. I had to take a step back to step one and I'm relearning how to control my emotions. And it's okay if you have a mental disability. It's okay to let your spouse know, but it's okay to get help at the same time so you can have everything under managed. And if you don't have a mental disability and you put your hands on your woman and it's consistently, then you need help. You need help because it's never going to change. You're going to find that one woman that you really love, that you put your hands or you did some type of abuse and she walk away because she's not having it. It's not a lot of good women that's out here that's going to, ride with you, that's going to be good for you, they're generous. And it's not a lot of good women. A lot of these females are for themselves. They're gold diggers. They don't have nothing going on for themselves. And a queen is very rare to run across. And you could damage a queen. And if you keep chasing these women away because of the abusive your abusive tendencies, you're going to be alone forever. You're going to end up in jail. Somebody's going to end up, killed. You may end up killed because their family may retaliate towards you. So it's never going to end in a good situation. Like somebody's going to wind up hurt at the end. And it's going to take it too far. And we don't need no more cases like Deshae McClain and her girlfriend. We don't need no more of those abusive cases. And yes, am I the aggressor? I am. And I don't mind speaking my story. I am getting help because this is my first situation of any abuse situation, whatever. My girl, I love her to death, but seeing that fear in her eyes and not wanting to be around me or anything, and she felt like she had to get a POF to protect herself because she was scared, that's not cool. That is my queen. That's my black queen. You know, I lost an amazing girl because of my emotional action, my insecurities, and I let my aggressiveness, take over. So I got the help. And anybody else that if you experience that, go get the help. But I refuse to, if we ever get back together, I refuse to let that happen again. I want control of myself. I don't want my emotions to control me. And if we don't get back together, the next woman I'm with, I don't want her to go through what I put her through. So, and I don't want to end up in jail. I don't want to end up dead. I don't want her to end up dead. I don't want anybody to end up hurt from any situation at all because you don't know how to control your emotional situation, your emotional, distress, whatever is going on, whatever made you upset. It's okay. If you get angry fast, go get help. If you having relationship problems and it's too toxic, if you guys love each other, you guys want to see if it's going to work out, go get therapy together. They have couple therapy. They have couple LGBT therapies where you can sit down in sessions. Is now everything is virtual, so you guys don't even have to be home with each other. You guys can be at your own apartment on Zoom. The therapist is the mediator. You guys just talking about it. Even if it get heated, you guys are not in the same room. You guys are not in the same space. But by the time the end of the therapy over, you guys are able to talk it out in a better manner because you guys got your own personal space and everything. So, and if therapy don't work and you guys don't want to do therapy, walk away. Walk away before somebody really ends up seriously hurt. But for the aggressors, go get therapy before it's too late, before you ruin your life. This situation was an eye-opener for me. Like, dog, you can't keep getting mad over little stuff. You can't allow your emotions to take over how, your behavior. You have to control yourself. And this was a life learning lesson. And I would never, never in my life allow my emotions to control me. I have full control of myself now. And just because I feel like I'm better, I'm not going to stop going to therapy because I'm not better. I'm probably not even at 15%. I might be at 20, whatever percentage, but within myself, I'm going to keep going. It may be a year from now, maybe 2 years from now, that I'm going to continue to go to therapy. And it's okay. It is okay. For the aggressors that's out there, it is okay.
She said what she said. You cannot tell someone else how you're making them feel. If someone feels like you're mentally abusing them, you're mentally abusing them. Like, you cannot. How you gonna tell somebody else how they feel? Like, take responsibility. Step back and self-reflect. Like, look at the stuff that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't always try to point the finger. A lot of abuse, and you can spot abuse by they get defensive. Like, well, you do this. Okay, that doesn't give you the right to do that. Like, if you feel some type of way about something that your partner is doing, speak on it. Speak on it at that point in time. Don't let it build up to the point where you're upset. Now you angry and you just lashing out. And your excuse is, well, you shouldn't have did that, or, well, you were doing that. Like, that's not it. That's not it. This next story is from a witness's point of view. She helped a victim of abuse. She was a safe haven for this person, and now they have like a tight relationship, like super tight.
Now I am not a victim of domestic violence. If more so, I'm a witness to it. And before anyone hears this story, I just want to make it known that me as a witness, I didn't condone the domestic violence. I'm completely against it. But I have helped the person of this story get through it. So this story is about my current girlfriend and her ex-girlfriend. And their relationship was very toxic, very abusive. They've known each other for a very long time, and they were best friends going into a relationship. And her ex would always beat her. Her ex would always verbally abuse her, and to the point where she felt like she had to do whatever for her life. There was an instance where she wasn't answering her phone. She was distracted, and she came up into the house, and she was like, "What the F you on your phone for? Where's your phone? Where's your phone? Don't you see me calling you? Don't you see me calling you?" And proceeded to put her hands on her, slapped her, scratched her. There's been times where I've seen her with bruises on her face. It's very traumatic. Another thing that I will say about it is that she does not care if she was a woman or a man. She was going to put her hands on her. And it's to the point where I've seen, I was told that at some point that she wanted to kill my girlfriend, threatened to kill her, saying, "I will go to jail today, you're not gonna leave me." And it's very traumatic to see someone go through that, and it's even more traumatic going through it. And there have been times where my girlfriend has come to me crying on the strength of, "I don't know what to do, I want to be safe, I want to protect myself." And there's times where she would be so angry at the fact that my girlfriend has moved on from her that she would try to attack me. She would try to find out where I live, found out where I went to school, found out where I worked, and would threaten to put her hands on me. And to prevent that, my girlfriend will always take hits for me, or she would always try to protect me from her because she was just so out of it. And we always have conversations of, you deserve better, or you don't let an experience define who you are as a person. And I can honestly say she is a better person because of the fact of she knows that that's not what she needs, or that's not what she deserves. And I think to a lot of people who go through domestic violence in same-sex relationships, whether they're lesbian, gay, whatever the case may be, my advice to you would be find a safe haven. It doesn't necessarily have to be a person, it doesn't necessarily have to be a place, but find a safe haven, an area where you feel like that's a place that I can go to if anything happens. Because before I had met my girlfriend, she did not have a safe haven. She did not have a place that she felt safe and felt secure, or she didn't have she didn't have the type of willpower to tell herself I deserve more. This is not me. This is not my fault. And when you're a victim of domestic violence, you don't know where to turn. You could have a Stockholm syndrome where you feel sympathy for your abuser, and you know, but I love them, but they do this, they make me feel good, and that's not a person that loves you. That's a person that wants to control you and dictate you and have power over you. And with that, I'm going to say you are deserved, you are loved, you are loved. It doesn't matter if it's a stranger that loves you, or your parents, or a friend, or a coworker. You are loved outside of that relationship.
All right, I'm going to get off subject real fast here. It's kind of on subject, but it's not really on subject. I don't think it's talked about enough the effects abuse have on people around the victim. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to take anything from the victim, like it's about you know what I'm saying? But it affect people around the victim too. Like growing up, I grew up in a household of domestic violence. Like, no cap, my dad used to beat the shit out of my mama, dog. Like, in front of us on some shit. You know what I'm saying? And it was always the apologies that I'll never do it again. You know what I'm saying? But it never stopped. Like, it never stopped. It never stopped. It never stopped. Like, I can dead ass say it never stopped. Like, and it put a lot of, like, okay, my daddy was a drinker. And I'm not going to put too much of my business out there because I don't know if my siblings, you know what I'm saying, whatever. But he was a drinker, and so, like, whenever he drank, I knew, like, in my mind, abuse was coming. And I knew this as a kid. Like, I shouldn't be 8 years old, and I know, dang, my daddy drinking, it's finna be a badass night type shit. You know what I'm saying? But I did. Like, and so it got to the point where whenever he drank a lot when it rained. If it's raining, he drinking, you know, just watching TV, drinking. And so it got to the point where thunder, like, I have a really bad phobia of thunder. And the people I date, they know. Because, like, at nighttime, if it's a thunderstorm, like, I jump in my sleep. Like, it affects me so much. Like, thunder is a trigger for me. Like, it just bring back, like, damn, this would be a bad night at home if I was still at home. Like, thankfully, my parents aren't together anymore, so my mom not in that bullshit. But it's like, that still affect me to this day. I'm 23 years old, and that shit's going on 24, and that shit still affect me to this day. Okay, so I'm getting emotional, so I'm going to go ahead and bring this to an end. I'm going to plug in my 3 favorite survivor resources. The Network /LA Red. It's a survivor-led organization working to end LGBT domestic violence. Their number is 617-742-4911. Their toll-free number is 1-800-832-1901. Forge, that's capital FORGE, is a national anti-violence organization focused on transsexual people. The Trevor Project, it's a suicide prevention and crisis intervention hotline specifically for the LGBT community. Their number is 1-866-488-7386. Don't ever be afraid to go get help, whether you're the one being abused or you're the abuser. Don't be afraid to speak out. Like, I had one story that I just couldn't put on here. Like, it ended in death. Like, I couldn't. And we all heard about the Aviana story. Like, that's what triggered this video or podcast in general. You know what I'm saying? Like, just love. People say love make you do crazy things. That's not love. Don't let your abuser tell you they treating you the way that they treating you because they love you. That's not love. Anybody who loves you will not hurt you in any way intentionally. If somebody can hurt you intentionally, they do not love you. Like, I'm not going to lie and say you're going to be in a relationship, it's going to be perfect, you're not going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt because everybody not the same. Everybody don't think the same. Something that affects you may not affect somebody, so they may act out on something not thinking it's going to affect you. You know what I'm saying? But that has nothing to do with, like, them putting their hands on you. Like, that's not the same. That's not the same. That's not the downs when people be like ups and downs. That's not the down at all. Like, if somebody feel like they need to put their hands on you, or they need to down talk you, belittle you, or like rough you up, like sexually, like touch you to make you feel like any of that shit, you know, if they need to do that to assert their authority or get their point across or whatever the fuck, leave them. Like, they don't love you. I don't care what nobody say. That's not love. I don't give a fuck. Like, that is not love. You cannot love somebody you put your hands on, dog. Like, you hurting them intentionally. Like, when my girl hurt, I'm hurt. Like, when she in her feelings, I'm sad for her. Like, baby, what's wrong? Like, cause her energy, like, if my partner energy not right, I'm not right. So I don't get it. That person can't love you. Like, get that out your head that this person love me. Like, I'm a deal with it because they love me. That's not love. They don't love you. Like, period. They don't love you. Walk away while you can. While you can. Because I'm 1,010.23455% sure Deshae and Aviana, that wasn't their first time getting into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and over OnlyFans. So they had to have talked about it. For Deshae to kill her over it, they had to have talked about it. And Deshae wasn't with it. Aviana went against that. Okay, that was a problem. Boom. Speak on it. You should have spoke on it then. And at the end of the day, we're all individuals. Just because you with somebody, you cannot control their life. If she wanted to make an OnlyFans and she wasn't with it, she should have dipped. Like, okay, you chose that over our relationship. I'm going to respect that and go on about my day. You know what I'm saying? But no, she chose to take her life. That ain't it. That's not love. You didn't love her. You felt disrespected. You know what I'm saying? That's fucked up. So, again, don't be afraid to go get help. Like, go get help before it's too late. Thank you for tuning in to Closet Talk with J Kitty. We'll have another Talk About It Tuesday coming up this Tuesday where we can talk about this episode. I'll put a post on Twitter where we can just drop questions or comments, share stories. If you've been affected or someone you know has been affected and it has affected you, that's what I want the Tuesday's episode to be about, like a reflection on today's episode. So thank y'all for tuning in, and I'll see y'all Tuesday.